going to try to crack the whip a little bit, make sure we're not wasting time if we can do that. So with that, how about the roll call, Kelly?
Commissioner Kanda.
Here.
Commissioner Flower.
Here.
Commissioner Day.
Here.
Attorney Clint Smith.
Present.
And clerk to the board, Kelly Camper, present.
Okay, audience introductions. We'll zip around real quick. Say your name real loud that you're here, and then give Kelly time to copy it if she doesn't know.
I got him already.
You already did. Go ahead.
Way ahead of you.
Kristen Maloney, Assessor's Office.
Jackie Hobby, Planning and Zoning.
Rick Barnes, I'm on the Planning Commission.
You're good. Go ahead now. I'm
Pat
looking
Bailey.
behind you. Say it loud again.
Pat Bailey.
Thanks, Pat. And then we also have in the back room, Vernon Raw. Tina is here and she will be speaking here in a minute anyway. We'll know. Okay, is that what we got? And then the people that are online, I don't know how many are online. It looks like we've got about 6 besides the people that are on in here. And we'll get, if anybody has any comments, we'll ask them to introduce themselves at that point. All right, any amendments to the agenda, gentlemen? How about you, Tom?
No.
How about you?
None here.
None here for me. And with that, Kelly did a great job of getting us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes.
You're getting there.
We're catching up. She's caught up to January the 7th and 12th. So I've looked at them. They're very good. I didn't have any major comments, so I would like to see if there are any comments. And then I'll move first of all that we accept them as they are. If there's a second, we can discuss it.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and second to accept the minutes from October 6th, October 7th, October 21st, October the 30th, and January 7th and January 12th. Comments? Kevin, any comments?
The only one I was involved in would have been January 12th.
You didn't have any issues? Okay.
No, I did not.
The January 7th minutes, I think they're accurate as what was actually done. I'm just questioning if what was done was accurate. The first motion in that set of minutes, motion by Commissioner Prince to have the county pay out of the general fund for the food for staff at the vaccine clinic held at Lang Hall. I wonder if that is accurate or if it should say out of public health. Everything in the county gets paid out of general fund, basically. I'm sure that's what Prince said. I'm not arguing that. I just.
Well, we know
And I
that.
don't know that it matters because public health is out of the general fund anyway.
And I think Donna is booking anything like the people we hired temporarily or the general fund going through the public health budget. So,
Right, so it comes out of public health.
right. We could do the same thing with that.
I don't think it'd even really be accurate unless we had a motion to change that, but I just thought it probably should have said public health instead of general fund. So I don't.
Yeah, good point. I don't think we need to change it, though, do you?
I won't probably introduce a motion to change that, no.
All right, any other comments? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to accept the minutes, 6, 7, 21, and 30 of October, and then January 7 and 12. Vote for it. Tom?
Aye.
Kim?
Aye.
Kanda, aye. Commissioner items. Tom, you be first.
Okay, pull those up. Let's see. So I think the 12th was the last meeting I reported at. So I'll just go through my calendar. January 12th, I attended the Coronavirus Relief Fund meeting. Also that day, the Central Republican Committee met They are meeting in the basement now instead of the VSO office. Then on the 13th, I attended the Justice Center committee meeting. Nate Eckloff from Piper Sandler came down, and then John Britz joined virtually in the courtroom. I attended the Upper Arkansas Water Conservancy District meeting, and it's in Buena Vista, obviously, but it was a virtual meeting. It was a hybrid, actually. I attended virtually.
Any issue there?
No.
Nothing to affect us right now.
No, not without being able to spend 20 minutes to
Oh.
give all the background on it. Part of the Beckwith Ranch has been sold. My understanding is that they're going to dry that pond up to the northwest of the ranch.
No fish pond.
And then they're going to reallocate that water for irrigation water. They're still working on Round Mountain Water and Sanitation District's proposed storage vessels south of the Grape Creek RV. And they're still working on the possibility of expanding the storage in Lake Louise. So those are, and of course, the lawsuit about the blue line coming into the county is still on the docket for the courts. I think that's scheduled in April.
I wouldn't hurt. We'll have maybe a workshop to bring everybody up to speed.
Yeah.
Work that as a water user piece.
14th, I also attended the Custer County Kids Council meeting virtually. Very proud of the work Stacy has done there. I mean, she's written grants and received grants over $100,000 for this COVID deal. So she has contributed significantly. Planning and zoning public hearing on the zoning resolution, the proposed zoning resolution. Attended that meeting on the 14th at 6 o'clock in the evening. And then also attended the same public hearing on the 15th at 1:30 in the afternoon. January 20th, we did have a weed board meeting. I was very glad to get that back up and running. Of course, 2020, we met once the entire year. So I'm not on that board, but I do attend those meetings. The 21st, Economic Development Committee meeting, virtual. We did have an E911 meeting at Silver Cliff Town Hall. That was a live meeting. And then I sat in on the annual operating plan for Custer County. Joe Lobiondo with Forest Service. You were on that meeting as well, I believe.
Right.
And that was a virtual meeting, so
I believe I got there a little late.
renewed. Yeah, that's right. That gets redone every 5 years. So, and then on the 25th, we had a Board of Health meeting. And then also I attended, excuse me, on the 25th, the Central Front Range Transportation Planning Region meeting. That was virtual as well. And then on the 28th, I attended the Upper Arkansas Workforce Consortium Board meeting, and that was virtual as well.
Busy couple of weeks, wasn't it?
So, yeah.
Kevin.
I would mirror that thought. So yeah, that's been pretty fast and hectic for me right now. Just trying to get out, get the people met that I need to meet. Still have a few of my contacts that I'm trying to meet. I know Deb with tourism and Tracy, I think with the Kids Council. I have not personally met with them yet, but I think I've got most everybody else where at least they know my face now. And again, I was sat in on a portion of that AOP meeting and also attended the Republican Central Committee meeting. Sat in yesterday on affordable housing with Charles Vogel, and they have a gentleman, Mike, and
Liebman.
There you go. He will be up here on the 8th, I believe, at their next meeting there in Silver Cliff, so I plan on attending that one. Couple of meetings with, 2 or 3 meetings, training sessions with CCI. And I did sit in on part of that meeting on the broadband 6 towers.
Well, I'll tell you that CCI meeting, I saw the agenda on it, good stuff in there.
Have a lot of
Good
good
refresher
stuff, a
course, too.
lot of resources. Can't make all of them. I mean,
I can't do all of them. That's why there's 3 of us.
so that's one thing I'm learning is you have a lot of people coming at you from a lot of directions, and I'm sure it'll settle down after a couple,
No.
3 weeks, but hopefully
Don't bet on
a
it.
little, or at least I'll get used to it. So.
Okay, good. Yeah, I sat in many of the same meetings. I won't mention, be redundant, but a couple things, Justice Center meetings, both of them. I thought it went well, and we're trying to find, Tom, maybe you know where it is, the ADA assessment that was done. It's a copy in the cabinet here. I didn't know which way to go, and I'm going to grab that. Shannon hadn't asked you for it yet. Also, the vaccination program underway. I sat in on some of that over there, and it's really, they got it ironed out and greased. As a matter of fact, they upped it from 50 to 100 to 200 a day. If the vaccine is here, they can handle it, and it's smoothing out enough that they told me that they're going to drop the 8 o'clock meeting and the stand up. That's going to be work as it should be, without the OEM involved in the front end of it. So that's good news. And also I understand we're getting a new set of vaccines that are coming now. So, and the state is up there they've gotten a bigger quota from what I understand from the public health director. So that we'll see, remains to be seen how, and the state said they're going to start inoculating the general public. So we'll see what that means. Airport board, I thought went well. Kevin got introduced around and learned how to fly airplanes while he was out there. And that reminds me, Tom, that I'm going to get a hold of Sangre de Cristo and talk about if we can cut a deal when the ground thaws out to move that transformer they planted where it is back closer to the distribution box to get it out of the apron that is going to be built. It was, unfortunately, when the team out there for Sangre came out to put it in after they got the right of way approved through the fence line, nobody else was there to talk to them about where to put it, although they had gotten the engineering stuff at an ops level above the guys that actually were doing the work. They knew where it should have been, but so I'm going to talk to them and possibly work together with the airport board and them to move it with as little cost as possible. Shouldn't be a big deal. The copper's all there already. They don't have to put a higher powered, a different copper line from where they junction it and move it over. Sangre will have to do that. But other than that, that'll be a simple fix. That'll be a few months down the road. And we're up to speed on paying for that through the grant. Everything's accounted for now. Let's see what else was a highlight. I'm looking forward to the zoning discussion we're going to have. And then I know you guys have put a lot of work in. I attended both those meetings as well. Not both of them. I attended the first one, and then I've been discussing it, catching up with you guys as things went along. DOP meeting as well. So anyway, other than that, I think that's all the highlights and questions that I had to bring to everybody. So with that, we have the privilege and distinction to get our new admin, Tina Jones, to, oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, we'll do our distinguished counselor first.
I am so easy to overlook.
Well, you're hiding in the corner back there.
All right, I attended both of the planning commission meetings last week, the one in the evening and the one in the afternoon. Went to the Board of Health meeting this past Monday where Jackie did an excellent job of leading everybody in the Pledge of Allegiance. That's twice in
Twice in a row.
Yeah. Weed board meeting The Justice Center meeting on, I think it was this Wednesday, wasn't it? We had that meeting. I was
You
there.
missed the first one.
Yeah, I missed the one when it was presented. And I prepared a proposed resolution for consideration by this board. I think it's on the agenda for February 2, based on the resolution from the town of Monument. So that'll be on for consideration. And that's all I've done since last time around.
Just real quick, did Ann Barthrop get a hold of you to discuss the contract wording and all, or on the Piper Sandler?
No, I haven't talked to her. I'll talk to Steve Vouchers.
Steve was, that was the intent, and either her or him. So you got Steve did, okay.
Yeah, I talked to Steve, and that's going to be on the agenda to talk about next week as well.
Good. All right. Now, the drum roll. Go ahead, Tina.
Okay, I have a couple of things that I'd like to talk to the board about. We have ordered credit cards for the county personnel, and I would recommend an attachment, which is I've titled Custer County Credit Card Use Agreement, which once the credit cards would be issued to the employees that they would sign. So I'd like your consideration for that.
Did you give Clint one of those two?
There you go. And then in addition to that, I would like to request if it's okay to order a credit card for the commissioner's office and have it in my name. And if that would be approved, then Commissioner Toffler would have to sign off on that because he was the one that originally signed that original contract. Okay. And then the third thing that I have.
Before you do that.
Yes.
Let's take it one at a short
Okay.
time here. Had you seen this before yet? You have, right?
I did. She sent it to me. I looked it over. It looked very good, actually.
Okay. It's a good idea. I think it's
Yes.
just explain what it does.
Okay, so basically, it's going to have the personnel that is accepting the credit card, basically, it's letting them know that if they would be using it for personal use as opposed for county business, that, there's different, trying to think of the word, there's different things that could possibly take place. And if they would use it for personal use, which would be against this agreement, then they would have to work on paying that money back as well.
Right. So it's not for personal use is the
No, it's not
point.
for
And this
personal use.
protects
It's
the
only
county.
It protects the county. It's only for county business.
For those departments that need it.
Yes. And if you look on the second page of that attachment is the list of who the county personnel that would be receiving that and their limits.
Okay. And you said there were no issues, Clint?
I thought it was a good idea to have this. So we know who's all got credit cards and they know what they're.
And we've already, as a board of commissioners, have already approved the distribution. Is there any issue from your point of view, Tom or Kevin?
No, I think this is part of the credit card whole program. I don't think we need to vote on this
No, we don't.
use agreement.
You
I'm
didn't-
convinced that Tina would not give out credit cards to anybody unless they have signed this. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Good.
And if approved, I'll be starting the distribution next week.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there's no reason, like we said, we don't have to vote on it. I think it should be done, and I don't see any objections. Make it so.
Okay.
Make it so, number one.
So then
And then I
I'm,
would move to allow Tina to apply for a credit card for the commissioner's office.
I'll second. That's a good idea. That keeps the Mr. Good bars well stocked.
yes, it does. That and coffee.
Wait,
Still got a
been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? Kevin?
No, here, I like it.
Huh?
No.
Mine either. Let's have a vote. Kevin?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Kanda, aye. Okay, now you can do
Now
it.
I can start, okay. The other thing that I wanted to present was, at the Board of Health meeting, we had talked about, a letter going to Miss Michelle Child, and I would need all three commissioners' signatures.
Yeah, the only reason it's brought up in this meeting is because all three of us are together and
Correct.
actually affect the request.
Correct.
And Elle did approve that. And so I would accept this now. I don't believe we have to make a motion for this, or do we?
I think we do. It's,
It's,
this is the first we've seen or heard of it as county commissioners, so.
that's true.
Was this commissioners or board of health now that this is being signed?
Well, it's for the Board of Health
You probably
we-
need to recess and
So we
convene the board of
may-
health to vote on
to
it.
vote on it, to be on the up and up.
Although it's not an agenda item for the board of health.
Right. Yeah, I spoke to Elle about this and the documents she
Hmm,
forwarded me. Says that either the Board of County Commissioners or another
agency or,
elected body needs to write a letter of support indicating they want to change from one color to another.
and what she,
It really says a letter from the Public Health Agency
Right.
and
and endorsed by the,
county commissioners or,
Okay,
but I think we talked at the Board of Health meeting about the Board of Health doing it. So I don't know. I think we're off in the weeds somewhere about it.
well, we know, and I did talk with her too, and Cliff as well, and this is what she agreed to. She's waiting for that. All she needs is to do that, and she will immediately color us yellow, and Cliff can make the county that way. That's why it was important to get it signed as soon as possible. So if we want to change this to the commissioners endorsing it, we can do that.
What does it say?
It says,
Look at it.
it's Ms. Childs, it says the County Board of Health officials request that our county be moved to yellow. Should the current established trends continue, they will then want to move to blue and then potentially green. That was the discussion he had with her. Please contact me at your earliest convenience to discuss this and the future suggested changes.
And you say you did talk to her
I
about
did
this?
talk to her about it as well. And the only reason I did is because I called to find out if there were any other issues before that this, then Cliff had told me this is what she had agreed to.
I would suggest that you go ahead and do it and then ratify it by the board of health at the next board of health.
That's a good
meeting.
idea.
I think this is something that's urgent enough to take immediate action on.
I do too.
And I think we actually had passed a motion there to move forward
All right.
with it, so.
So Cliff, that's true. And he had authorization to do this and turn it yellow as soon as it was approved. So you want to,
Yeah, I'm pulling this email up. So the required letters of support applicable to Custer County that will need to be included are the local public health agency and a majority of county commissioners or other county level governing body. So if the commissioners and the local public health agency would like to combine their support and request in one letter, that's perfectly acceptable. Let me know if I can help any further.
right. And so they decided the endorsement on that letter with our signatures is all she needed to say.
That letter
That's
being
this letter
this,
right here.
I would move we authorize the Board of County Commissioners, because it can be either one, authorized to sign that.
So redo that with commissioners instead of Board of Health. Just the signature line. And we can sign it today.
You think we're all right, Clint, or you want to adjourn or take a recess and
No,
do it?
that's fine. If it talks public health agency, Dr. Brown has the authority just to sign anything for the public health
Right.
agency. Doesn't require the board of health to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
His signature obviously is not on here.
He'll
so-
sign it and then we'll just redo it with commissioner titles instead of Board of Health.
So I would recommend we go ahead and deal with the motion and we can sign it whenever she gets that
Is
done.
there a second?
I would second.
Okay, been moved and seconded to accept and sign this letter requesting that we be moved, by the public health agency to the state. And we will endorse it. All in favor, Tom?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Candidate, aye. And- All right, thank you. Anything else, Tina?
No, that's all.
Okay, thanks. Okay, just real quick, we have an opportunity for anybody, if there's something that somebody would like to bring to our attention before we begin the new business, we can hear from the public right now. We have 2 spots, one right now and then one at the end of the meeting. Anybody got a comment or a question or a burning desire? I'll give you a few minutes online or a second. Anybody lighting up over there, Tina?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
if I may, during public comment, I know Elliot Jackson is on for the newspaper. I just want to publicly say I appreciated the article in the paper concerning the weed board meeting. It was a well-written article, very factual. So Elliot, thank you for that. I appreciate it. I know Charles, our weed manager from Werfenau County, is going to submit some stuff as well to the newspaper, but I just thought Elliot did a great job on that.
I agree. That was front page news.
Was it?
Yeah. I read it.
I guess it
Thank
was.
you, gentlemen. It's really nice to see the weed board
we
back
turn
in
this up?
action, and I'm looking forward to the weed walk.
What are we doing here?
Good, thanks again, Elliot. Just appreciate that coverage. Thank you.
Oh, Tom, I'm sorry, just 1 second here during public comment. This has to do with the Board of Health, but it is, since you're all here, I do have a question. Who is the new chairman for the Board of Health? Is that you?
No, it's Kanda, and I apologize for that because the Board of Health meeting was not published, or it was published, it was not broadcast, so there was no recording.
Oh, so Bill, you are still the chairman for the Board of Health?
Correct.
Is it okay if I contact you later for some details about the decisions that you all took at the meeting?
Sure.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Any other comments? All right, moving right along. We're going to consider the new business now. The first item up is the consideration for approving the vouchers and signing checks, and we can do that and chew gum too. But I need a motion if you would want to make one.
I've got a question about them, but I will move to approve the vouchers as written.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the vouchers. Let's have some discussion. What's the issue or question, Tom?
Get to it. So one is I see that apparently, and I hadn't heard anything about this, that we got a new door at the Public Health Agency. I'm assuming that's the east door. Can you speak to that, or?
I don't know much about it other than I know that they had a broken door or a lock and they needed that door. And I think you and I were both involved in a discussion on getting a contractor to install it or something. I don't remember. It's been quite a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, there was a discussion about replacing the east, which we call the back door of the public health. Has that been done? Do you know, Pat? Steel door. Okay, I see that was $2,000, so I assumed it was a steel door that was put in. You satisfied with
Steel
it?
jam,
Okay,
like commercial.
yeah, looks good.
Does.
Yeah, I hadn't heard anything about it. I didn't know. And then let me pull this back up. And I see Dr. Brown has submitted a voucher for government use of personal vehicle for December 2020, $75. I don't know that we have ever authorized that, so I was very surprised to see that. Do you have any knowledge of that?
I do not, except I know that there was an issue with security or actually, I don't know.
Okay.
Well, he had some tires.
Tires failed.
Yeah, this is
Active vandalism. I don't know if that's tied into this.
This is personal vehicle for December 2020. I'm gonna.
Oh, I remember hearing a little bit about it. I don't know, it's not been formally suggested to anybody, but I do know he's been traveling during the pandemic issues to people's houses to, and I'm not sure whether he's administering the vaccination, doing that, or whether it's the discussion with the people to get them. I'm not sure, but it seems to me without it would be the same thing as an OEM or this the sanitation officer using a county vehicle to do your job during county time. And I think that might be what he's talking about.
Well, I don't think we've authorized
We've
to
not.
pay for him to
Right,
use
we
it
have
first
not.
or to reimburse him. So I'm going to move to amend my motion to delete this particular voucher.
How much was it? I didn't-
$75.
That's what we did. It was a general request, then same as sounds like the same voucher we do for telephone use. So that's a legitimate question, and to Ed, I agree, we probably ought to have him. I know that the board of commissioners authorized personal use of phones, and that was an action by the board. It's been continued. We have not done that for personal vehicles, so probably ought to. Comment, Ken?
Yeah, I think probably we should visit with him before something like that's okayed.
You can do that next.
Yeah, I mean, I think this sets precedent that number one, we don't know anything about.
Right.
It's kind of a backdoor approach. So I'm certainly not going to support paying people to use their personal vehicles to come to work and back. We all do it. We drive to San Isabel, we drive to Wetmore. I have not submitted any expenses for those, although I know it would be legitimate if I did, but I think I don't submit an expense to drive my vehicle to come to work every day. So I just don't think it's.
That's what we got to ask him. Is that what's this for expense? Is it come to work? I don't think so. I think it's once he's at work, taking his car and driving later, but that's something he can talk to us about. Should talk
If
to us.
this was a voucher for mileage, then of course there'd be a mileage report attached to it. But this is just for monthly use. I just don't think it's right.
And we'll have to find out what that means. Okay, now you made a motion to withdraw.
No, I made a motion to amend
Yeah,
to
admit that one.
I would second that again as well.
delete this.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to delete that until we get to the bottom of it and have a meeting. That's fine. Any other discussion?
No, that's,
All right, all in favor of the amendment, say aye.
Aye.
Kevin, aye. Kanda. Okay, now we want to move on accepting the vouchers. Has that been moved
yes.
and seconded? So let's vote on that. Kevin,
Aye.
Tom,
Aye.
Kanda, aye. Okay, so I'll initial this and send it on. Okay, recognition
I
of,
think we all three have to.
I know, I'm going to initial it and send it on to you.
Oh, I thought you meant send it on to Donna.
Sorry, no. So we can, while we're doing this, we need to recognize planning commission member, a new member. You wanna? No?
So we're going to recognize today Pat Bailey. Pat Bailey is no longer going to be on
That's
our
right.
planning commission board, but he basically was one of our #1 members. He contributed a lot of years to Custer County volunteering on the planning commission. He has been here for 21 years.
Holy smokes, there's people that aren't that old.
And
Yeah.
we just want to say thank you, Pat, and we'll miss you. And we enjoyed everything you contributed to Custer County. And we enjoyed being with you. And we wish you wouldn't quit. And if you want to change your mind, you can still have the book.
Never quit.
Coward.
Never gonna let up.
I don't know how you lasted.
I think she said you could get another book if you'd stay.
Oh, yes.
Congratulations.
I'm sorry.
Look at the
Thank you,
camera and smile, guys.
And then we'll come around and.
Take the mask off so you can see all that.
Now hold up the certificate, Pat, get another picture.
And then the commissioners. And Vic wants to say something. And Vic,
Bill, could I comment just?
Yes, you'd be first.
I've known Pat probably 23 or 24 years, something like that. And it's been my real privilege and honor to serve with him 20 years. I'm a year behind Pat on the planning commission. And he's my idea of an ideal planning commission member. I don't know anybody that's much more knowledgeable about Custer County than Pat. I think he's probably driven every road in Custer County in his job, and he talks to people. He knows what's going on. He was involved in Rotary for a number of years. I've worked with him a number of times socially. We've gotten together an awful lot, and I just really appreciate what Pat has done. And when we were dealing with issues, he was always calm and steady. He was always a reasoned voice. And I know as chairman for a number of years, I could always rely on Pat to come up and be able to sort out the important items on various issues.
Facts from fiction.
Yeah, he was outstanding. So I just want to thank Pat for being a valued friend and a really strong partner on the planning commission.
Thank you. Hey, Vic, why don't you and Jackie get on each side of him and we'll get Kelly to take a picture. Get on each side of him and that would be a picture for the newspaper.
wants to change his mind.
Hold the certificate up this time, Pat.
She wants you to change your mind. Not going to happen.
Out of front of the door.
Yeah.
He never pays attention.
I'm on my own plane.
I
Okay.
don't think
She'll get
has a
that.
drummer.
Return those pictures into the two presses we've been.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for working with us on the
Good
public
job.
health
Thanks for-
building.
Yes.
Because I want a picture with.
Yes.
Yeah.
God, then we'd probably get the attorney up here and have him in. He'll be all miserable.
I have to get a stool to stand.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's been my privilege to serve.
Thank you very much. Well, you're going to be asked for advice still, you know.
No, I
You're going to be the consultant that we're going to call.
I'll be in the audience bugging.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
How about if we walk out and you change your mind?
Here you go. Okay, next. Consideration of posting a 2-week notice to adopt the amended zoning resolution. So as soon as she gets back. You want to take a quick break while she's doing this?
Do you want me to go get her, Bill?
You want to take a break
You
here?
may not be aware that that's.
I could actually take one real
Let's
quick.
let's take 3 or 4 minutes and we'll round Jackie up.
We can finish signing these.
Okay, we're back in session after our quick break. It's 9:45. And up on the agenda is the consideration for posting a 2-week notice to adopt the amended zoning resolution. And so we need to hear a little bit of detail on that, and then we'll make a motion and discuss it.
Okay, so by our zoning resolution, the county commissioners have to post in the paper of record a 2-week notice stating that you are going to make a motion to either amend the resolution that you were sent, or if you have any cleanups you'd like, or if you're gonna approve it. Our zoning resolution states that you got to have a 14-day notice. So what I would like is for the BOCC to pick a date so you can have a public hearing on the new zoning resolution. And also Tuesday, when I do my planning commission, my planning and zoning report, Vic Barnes will also be joining me, and he will give you the background on how we came to some of the changes in the zoning resolution. And also he will have a slip of paper, correct me if I'm wrong, stating what pages all the changes are in.
Okay, all right, so.
Yeah,
So,
it'll be a red line version.
okay.
If you haven't received it, you will
No,
receive
I've
it
got it.
shortly.
Okay, so let me restate it a little bit differently. It's my understanding that you all have had through the hearing process and the participation with your board, suggested amended zoning resolution for posting so that the public has time to look at it and consider it, as well as the commissioners to understand it and work. And then we will
It'll be on the
be
website.
on the website as well.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and so today, all we're doing, we're not approving it, we're just getting it posted for public consumption in ourselves as well.
So we already did the public hearing.
Yeah, I understand.
So now this is for the commissioners and our county attorney to make amendments. Or if you're good to
And
go.
then there'll be a public, at a public point then where we will entertain approving it or not, and there'll be additional public comment. That's all I meant by that.
During your meeting.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right, your motion?
I have another question. Just to clarify in my mind, today is not the day that we make suggestions or anything of that
No,
nature.
that will be in our 2 weeks. You just,
Okay,
today's the day that I would like you to find a date
Formalize.
to either approve or amend this.
okay.
Well, it's a formal hearing.
It's a
at that
formal
time.
hearing.
Formal hearing.
Recommendation from the planning commission,
Right.
and that needs to be a separate hearing.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking. I was gonna recommend that we do a special board meeting in the afternoon of the 26th. I don't think we want to deal with this as an agenda item on a regular meeting.
No.
We might have 30 people want to comment on it.
That's true.
So I would move that we schedule a special board meeting on Friday, the 26th at 1:30.
Is that February?
What did I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, February 26th, sorry.
It's, February.
For the purpose of conducting a public hearing and, well,
Well, wait a minute.
consideration of the proposed
Good.
revised zoning
Well,
resolution.
that's it. Before we, that's the motion. Want to second that? And we can
Is that
discuss
supposed to
whether.
be, is it supposed to be 2 weeks out, or is it
Yeah, it has to be 2
At
weeks.
least.
at least 2 weeks? So that gives us almost what, 4?
4 weeks.
I'll second it just so we can discuss it. And the reason there is a discussion, 26, isn't that a board meeting?
Yes, we'll be.
So it'll be in the afternoon. That's why he stated the afternoon. So it makes sense because we're all here. And it gives us time. Is the afternoon okay for you all or not?
Oh, I'm fine with the afternoon or anytime. I guess my question is, why are we out 4 weeks?
Well, because we have a Board of Health meeting on the 16th of February.
17.
or 17th, so that's not gonna work. And we're in Wetmore in the morning, so that day's pretty well shot. I mean, we could do it any day, I
I
guess.
suggest something after then too.
I just thought, because we were gonna be in town and here for sure on the 26th.
Is there any urgency to get it any sooner than that, or is that too late? What's your issue?
Jackie, if you have to have it posted for 2 weeks, that's the February 11th, so it has to be after February 11th sometime anyway, right? Am I thinking that right? Because you're not
Well,
gonna get it
It's gotta
in
be,
the
it's gotta be
paper
beyond
I
that.
mean,
this next
It'll be
week.
next week to get in the
a week from
paper.
now.
Yeah.
Right.
So that
So
would
that's
be,
probably when you start counting our days.
so
probably
that's
ended up.
logically, it's gonna be that long.
Okay, thank you. And what
So
time?
actually it'd be after the 8th.
1:30.
We haven't voted on it yet.
It'll be 1:30.
1:30 in the
There's the
afternoon.
motion.
Vic?
Yeah, Bill, I to address Kevin's question about suggestions. Jackie mentioned that we'll be coming in Tuesday. And so we're gonna just come in and make sure that you understand the whole process that we've gone through and then help you identify those places where there are changes. And so there'll be plenty of opportunity to
Sure. Which
ask
Tuesday?
questions and make suggestions there as
That's
well.
this coming Tuesday during
After
my
the-
staff report.
Oh, okay, you're gonna use Board of Commissioner meeting time to discuss some of that with us, is that? what
It'll
you're-
be underneath the planning and zoning staff report.
Okay, that'll help get us started. It may open up questions. We don't wanna
No,
spend 5
it's
hours
not,
on
it's not a question and answer, it's an overview on,
how
how
you
we
got
got
where you,
to this
okay,
point.
that's fair enough.
And then for you to ask us any questions is to help you prepare for this. The
Okay,
meeting's gonna be on the 26th.
yeah, that makes good sense. Tina?
I just wanted to mention that on the 26th, there's a staff meeting at 1 PM.
Right,
Right,
if we have
Could
it.
change.
and that can change. We can move that, but and usually they don't take that long anyway. We could possibly do
We
that.
could still have it at 1 and or probably be done. So, Mr. Chairman, I have a question.
Go ahead.
So Vic, just a process question. If we get to this 26th hearing and get some input, the process is the commissioners then look at that document, take in that input, and may or may not send it back to the planning commission for changes. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So planning commission's not gonna go, good God, why the hell didn't they just approve it? That's the whole point of the public hearing, right? Is for us to hear from the public. You guys already have, but we need to make it available for the public to come talk to the commissioners about it.
Yeah, there's no question about it.
Okay.
You wanna get,
Right,
you guys have an opportunity to look at it, and I know you've been busy, so you're gonna have a lot of questions, and then there's obviously gonna be a lot of people that are going to comment either before
Right.
in email. You've been receiving emails all along, so you're gonna get more comments, and then you'll get comments during the meeting. And we anticipate that
Okay.
there'll probably have to be some changes. I mean, if you decide, I guess, intermediate to approve it, and then we would make those changes and then send it back to you. That's how I anticipate.
Yeah, I wanted to have that conversation so that we don't have this preconceived idea that we're gonna adopt it on the 26th. We're gonna consider it. It may
That's
or
right.
may not
just like
get
any
adopted.
Right.
Okay.
other resolution, either we can agree with it or modify it or change it or send it back.
Exactly.
So my motion was to include consideration of the proposed zoning resolution.
And then did you second?
I don't think it was seconded. I would second that.
You seconded it.
Oh, that's right, I did. to get it
Okay.
copy. Okay, it's been moved and seconded to post the 2-week notice to adopt the amended zoning resolution, and that we had selected as part of the motion, the 26th of February to meet that criteria. All in favor?
As a special board meeting. at
That's a special
BOCC.
board meeting in BOCC.
And can you just restate
Yes.
to include?
Oh, the motion was to include consideration of the proposed zoning resolution. That's the purpose.
That's right.
And from my perspective, that'd be the only agenda item. Wouldn't have to be, but that's
it's a special meeting. We can add something else if we wanted.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor, Kevin?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Kanda, aye. Okay, you're on the 26th and we'll see you next week for the update on how you got there.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vic. Thanks, Jackie. Okay, next up is consideration of the PILT funds for Colonel Verdi Pines fire mitigation. Who's presenting that?
Guinevere called me yesterday and she had to be gone today. And she said that Matt Clark, who is the one that sent in that proposal, had to be gone today also, but she gave me his phone number in case you guys had any questions or.
Yeah, I read it and they're not an issue. I didn't have any concern. Tom, did you?
Well,
We need to get
yeah,
him on the line because I don't have a problem doing it.
my concern doesn't necessarily involve him, but
Well, if it doesn't, if we can do it without him, that's okay too. I meant that from a point of view of us discussing it.
Just for my, if I may,
Go ahead.
clarification for me, is this something that the board has been supporting in the past? It seems like it might be an ongoing.
It is an ongoing, the fire mitigation is an issue. That's something that we've been sponsoring and grants have been funding and for quite a while. And this PILT funding is to continue the efforts for the hazardous fuel reductions as defined by Title III county projects.
and Kelly, you've sent us this, I've got a one-page document in the board packet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think there's a couple of things that come into play here.
Want to discuss it or do we want to move on it and then discuss it? Discuss it now is okay, and then we can straighten it out and formalize it. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, technically, I guess there should be a motion, but, so we just finished, what was it, $30,000 project with these guys. I don't have a problem with them requesting more money. We have not received PILT money for 2021.
Yeah, we may not.
We have money in that account. I don't mean to indicate that we don't, but they want 45,000, it looks like.
Yeah. Now, the only issue that I recall is whether, and I think that Guinevere sorted it out, this isn't private, you taking advantage of a grant to do private landscaping. And that's was made clear, I think, in the past.
So it's solely for fire mitigation.
Yeah, I just worry about getting into our remaining balance. These guys have done a great job. I applaud them for their work out there, but if another group comes to us and wants to do something, we're going to tell them there's no way because we don't have the money.
Do we have the money for this? I think the balance is not much bigger.
Do you have to advertise for that?
Yeah, and then we got to go through that whole process. I think it's 3 weeks.
Yeah, I can't remember.
I don't remember either. Maybe it's 30 days, but yeah, we have to post that we were going to do this if we did vote to do it. Then there's that posting. I probably couldn't lay my hands on it right now, but I don't want to dampen their enthusiasm for this either. I mean, they've done a great job out there, but
Yeah, and you don't want to spend the money we've already spent, have it wrecked because they didn't complete it either.
I don't know how many. We talk about 15 people. I'm going to move to postpone this until we have a chance to get everybody on the line or in the room.
I'll second that. I
For
agree.
discussion.
We need people that have a little more knowledge.
Just a little more discussion. historically, when does the PILT money tend to come in? Yeah, I know that's a variable, but
Yeah, probably June if everything goes right. Seems to be, this old boy's frustrated trying to catch this dog out there. And he's chased him up and down the street. Now the dog's running right to him and he doesn't know it. And then he turns around and takes off. So,
It's not a leash.
yeah, I think June.
It is.
But again, there's not a deadline. It's whenever we get it from the feds is when we get it. So.
and I know I'm a little familiar with the HUTF. I assume it's similar to that. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, and then the amounts vary.
Yeah, this Publican, sorry. P for pill.
It's in
Payment in
lieu
lieu
of-
of
Payment in lieu of
taxes.
Yeah. We never know exactly when we're gonna get it, but it should be early to midsummer. I always say, we got the numbers, we're gonna send those to you, and then we go another 2 months and keep waiting to get them, but, yeah, I just think it'd be better to get those guys when they're in town and available, including, Guinevere. Guinevere says she thinks we ought to do it. I'm prone to go along with
Okay, it's
that.
been moved and seconded to postpone this and put it on another agenda in the future. All in favor, Kevin?
Aye.
Aye.
And I. So I'll get hold of Guinevere and tell her, pick a day. Or ask her to, I should say. Okay. Okay, next. Next up, consideration of transfer of funds to the surcharge fund to Custer County General Fund and the restoration fund to County General Fund. And I'm assuming, let me see here.
No, you got him caught finally.
You got him off the street.
He's been after him since we were dealing with Pat Bailey.
Yes, it was.
Running back and forth across the highway. You know, it'd make you want to beat him half to death, but then you couldn't catch him the next time either. So what do you do?
So Kelly, you got a little detail on this.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Right in here.
Both
So
funds.
the first one is the restoration fund one. And what this is, actually, no, it's just that one. It's grant money that I applied for last year, and I can pay for the upkeep of my recording system, to store the recorded documents that are online. There's a few different things. And so.
Does it have anything to do with the voting machines, or is that separate?
No, that's separate. This is all recording.
Okay.
And so I had $17,590.13 left in that grant that I needed to spend before I can apply for another grant.
Mhm.
And so this paid for all of my recording system for last year and then a portion of it for this year. And then the grant that I'm gonna apply for will pay for the rest of it for this year. And
Okay.
some other things.
That's why you can eat up even the 13 cents.
Even the 13 cents. I don't want to have to send them a check for 13 cents.
I would move we approve the transfer of $17,590.13 from the record restoration fund to the general fund.
Second,
I would second.
it's been moved and seconded to transfer the amount of $14,120 from the records restoration fund. Now, are we moving for the whole thing? I didn't hear this. Was it 17,000, Tom? You
Yes.
break it into two pieces.
$17,590.13.
All in favor, say aye. Tom?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And aye.
Now, the second one, from the surcharge fund to the general fund, this is for, so this money comes from my dollar surcharge, or $1 of the $3 surcharge that people pay for recording. And it can be used kind of along the same lines. And so I'm paying for my July through December of last year for my storage on my documents out of that fund.
Okay, and is that an exact amount for it, or is that just a,
That's an exact amount for it. That's how much it costs to store those. And then
okay,
I have some left in that that I'm hoping to pay for my January to June of this year.
that comes
So
from
we'll do another one.
another grant, or is that,
No,
just the
that's an
records, it's a-
ongoing thing.
that's a budget item, right? Okay. Okay, do I hear a motion?
I would make a motion to transfer $3,322 from the surcharge fund to the county general.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to transfer $3,322 from the surcharge fund to the county. All in favor, Tom,
Aye.
Kevin,
Aye.
and I. Okay, thanks.
Thank you for explaining those. I wasn't sure before we came in just what was happening there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, just in time, Chris Bryson has a consideration for us, and that is a letter to what, he says DC, but it's a letter to Congress, basically, from the county. So, Chris, you want to present that to us? I've read it. And actually, I'll make a statement first. Normally, we don't put just anybody, if everybody in the county wanted to discuss something with us and put it on for consideration, that wouldn't happen. It's just too much. And we have to approve it. And we looked at this and we did approve it as an item to go on ahead. So just so you know, it's and I think it's a worthy thing to consider. And so we need to understand your reasoning, and it's a well-written letter. It might be that we need to tweak it, but that's for our discussion now. So go ahead and present it if you would.
I have something to read if I could step up.
Go ahead and pull that chair back so you can talk to everybody.
I appreciate your consideration. I really do. There's a couple of things that's just a bit concerning to me, and maybe honestly, I'm out of the loop on the process of what county commissioners can engage in. And this is why I'm bringing this up, because it's quite concerning to me. There's a couple of things I'm going to put on the table just because I want folks to remember. That is what this country looks like today. Okay.
Meaning
the
Republican,
the
Democrat.
Republican versus the Democratic divide in the country today. Today, we're faced with a unique situation in our U.S. Congress. It seems that the new Democratic Party has become a party of hate, a party of fear, and a party of division. There are millions of Americans that feel they no longer have a voice in this country. And these are the Americans that I'm talking about right here. Okay. The voice of conservative Americans is being silenced every day. No voice, no constitution to fall back on. Lawlessness in a party with no accountability for their actions. The current Democratic Party feels it is for the good of the country to silence conservative America, violating our constitutional rights to free speech. They feel it's for the good of the country to limit our right to bear arms and to protect ourselves. I don't agree. There's a couple of things that are my main issue and the things that I would like addressed in this letter if we choose to move forward. Primarily, it's the censorship, First Amendment stuff. I have some examples. I'm not going to read them all out, but these are examples of our elected Congress people up in DC today. They preach unity. This new administration wants us to be united, and I'm all for that. We're Americans first and foremost, above anything else. We're Americans. This is quite upsetting to me. I served. I know you served, sir. I'm not sure about you gentlemen, but you're serving now. And so I hats off to everybody that served in this policy, this country, and our freedom. We have been told by social media and the Democratic Party essentially that we're all white supremacists and racists and all these terrible things. And for Republicans, if we say anything remotely contrary to this current administration, we are currently being censored. Social media is shutting platforms down. We are not getting press. We are not getting any kind of media coverage at all. The voice has been silenced, essentially. Maxine Waters, a Democrat from California, for years now, has been telling her constituents in California, get in the face of these conservative people, get in the face of the white supremacists, get in the face of them, push back on their policy. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Democrat out of New York, hate speech, the same kind of message. Ian Omar, non-American congressperson from Minnesota. She has been recorded repeatedly with hate speech towards Jews and conservative America. On record video. There's a few more. There's two that I will bring to your attention because of this current impeachment of our former president. Cori Bush, Democrat. This is a quote. She said this on the floor of Congress. The white supremacist in chief. She's talking about our president. White supremacist in chief. She says, if we fail to remove a white supremacist president who incited a white supremacist insurrection, calling on all, and she calls in that statement, all conservative Americans white supremacists. Are you a white supremacist, Tom?
I don't believe so.
Kevin? Nope. Me either. Of course. Kamala Harris, our vice president, she actively, as a Democrat in California, bailed out the criminals and was party to the little organization of people in California that were bailing out criminals for all of these protests that we had over the summer. And she said, if we fail to remove, oh no, sorry. She said they would never stop. They won't stop after the election to create this kind of division. Those are her words. I didn't say that. That type of speech, in my opinion, is hate speech. It's the exact same things that conservatives we're being silenced. We can't say these things. So there is a huge double standard as far as the First Amendment goes. And these are our Congress leadership being allowed to say these things on the House floor. And yet there is no repercussion. We have all seen the witch hunts against conservatives that these exact same things, if anybody was to say any of these things, everybody would be persecuted to the fullest extent. They are coming after us right now. And I personally don't feel like we should stand for that at all. The Democratic Party has a big hold on the media. Okay, I'm going to read a couple of things just briefly about, this is one instance about the media of what they're saying. What's next for the MAGA seditionists who stormed the Capitol on July 6th? Terrorism expert so-and-so thinks they were emboldened by the experience. He called the attack on the Capitol the ultimate white privilege. I disagree with that. I think those Americans up there were extremists, the people that did what they did to the Capitol. The vast majority of that group, I would say probably 99% of it, are just Republican and conservative voices out there wanting to have their right of assembly and just to be seen and heard as an opposition to what was going on. They were there to support Congress, what they were trying to do that day. We had good Americans objecting to things about the election. Who knows what the election was, good or bad? I don't take a position on that. What I do take a position on is every one of these red counties that said there was an issue were ignored. They were totally ignored. Supreme Court didn't even hear the evidence. They just silenced it all. That's wrong. That is a double standard. The Supreme Court failed us all, so did Congress. So the next thing, the terrorism expert says, former FBI agent, Democrat, domestic terrorism expert, talked about the overlooked importance of radicalized white women in violent extremism. I just don't think so. I don't think so. I think this is garbage. It's their narrative. We all know this. Hollywood's getting a pass. I apologize for this language I'm going to tell you guys, but this is what Hollywood is telling people. Fuck Donald Trump and every American citizen, celebrity, white woman, black man who supported him. All burn. They called on Nancy Pelosi to impeach the racist in chief and said that racists, sexists, white nationalists, white supremacists make up the conservative Republican Party today. I don't think so. I don't think so. Nobody's speaking against these folks, and the double standard is just amazingly, it's just awful, the double standard. Social media. Democrats supporting social media they censored the sitting president, Donald Trump. They censored him. They just shut him down, kicked him off social media, telling him that he is inciting violence and things like that, when actually all he's doing is inciting Americans to be Americans and stand for the Constitution. He has never said any of the things that they say he said, and they're getting a pass on the whole thing. The Democratic Party is getting a pass, and it's unacceptable. They're essentially telling us that the Constitution is a hollow document. It's just garbage. It doesn't matter. If Hollywood gets a pass, social media gets a pass, print media gets a pass, and our elected people in Congress get a pass, yet they come after all conservatives with the full force of their power. That is a double standard. They are supporting hate speech in Congress by allowing these folks to do these things. This list of Congress people, those are quotes from the House floor. That is the point. There's a couple of other things, and honestly, House Bill 1 that they've pushed up right now, if you guys have all read it, I'm sure you have, it is the end of voter integrity. It is the end of voter integrity. There will never be a free election in this country ever again. There will never be a Republican or conservative or anybody that is not part of that party elected in this country ever again if House Bill 1 passes. If you've read the verbiage in it, you fully get that. House Bill 5717 on gun rights. It's the end of the Second Amendment, the end of it. There's clauses in there that make it seem like it's all about, you know, what do they call it? Some kind of reform and safety garbage and all that. But essentially what they're doing in that, there's clauses in there that say they can come in your house. If they deem you, if the appropriate person deems you a threat to the democratic message, you can be essentially labeled a dissident. They can come in your house and take all your weapons away from you. These are the things that the Democrat Party wants to do today.
That was tried before.
It was tried, and it's still there. And I understand we are a sanctuary city for some of this stuff if some of this stuff goes through, but this still doesn't address this issue. This is what I would like to see happen. And again, I could be overstepping what I think we can do here, but we all swore oaths. We have all sworn these oaths to defend and support the Constitution. It's line 1 in every oath we've ever taken. In the military, police service, federal service, all of them. It's the first line. What I would like to see is that list of Democrat elected representation that is putting this hate speech and double standard out there. They need to all have articles of impeachment filed against them. It's the only way to remove anybody other than voting them out. They have filed articles of impeachment over nonsensical things for former President Trump. What I say we do, and my opinion is, we engage our state representation and our federal representation individually with this sort of a list of these double standards. If nothing else, just to say that Custer County is going to stand against this nonsense. Because if Custer County can stand against it, maybe Fremont will do the same. Maybe these other conservative counties across the country will see that and do something. Because if we don't speak against it, we are essentially just allowing it. And I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't sit by and know how many people have bled and died for that document. Just to sit there and allow the double standard to go on. It's on me to not say something. So it's my request that this board form a committee or something to draft these letters. I would love to see these letters drafted in support of this type of thing. You know, we can't allow this double standard. If nothing else, the double standard is the worst thing, because the Democrat Party is drawing a line in the sand, creating this racist divide in this country. It's their propaganda. It's their social media and print media, and everything is leaning that way. That's the only message that's getting out there. So what I would say is, can we please at least be a voice to oppose that message and engage the rest of the counties in Colorado? If we could do this, maybe they'll all do it. And if we all send county letters to these representatives we have, maybe we can press them to send letters. There's been articles of impeachment filed against Biden already. They're not going to stick. And it's kind of show, but at least it says that there's somebody out there that's still willing to speak for the Constitution. That's what I'm asking of this board. I'd love to be a part of it, but understand it doesn't have to be me. I would love to see this happen. That's basically where I'm at.
Okay, Chris, good presentation. And as you know, this board is, and this commission is the lowest form or the basic form of the political subdivision of the state of Colorado. You're at the right place. You know, and I'm proud to say that we have the ability to make those kinds of statements, makes our voice be heard. It's hard to be a citizen out there and think that, oh, gee, doesn't matter what I think, because what I say, I'm just one vote, you know, and they all think they haven't got the power, but there is power behind numbers, and you see it with your charts there with the red showing through.
Right.
So your concept, you're making a good point, and this is just me speaking as one commissioner, that, you know, I wholeheartedly endorse it. As a citizen, I've sent letters, but that's one voice. As a county making a statement, sort of like we did with the sanctuary city for first, Second Amendment.
Mhm.
And something that we will probably entertain for other things as well. It's not a bad idea, but we got to focus and decide how we want to handle it. And I like the idea of a committee to come up with what we could get comfortable with as the voters of this county, our constituency would support an action from us. So that's a couple of my thoughts. Tom, you got a couple of thoughts along that line, and then I'll ask Kevin. And then
Well, certainly, I think we need to have attorney advice on what's appropriate and what's not.
right. Is that it?
Yeah.
Kevin?
I agree. And we all have the right individually or as groups to voice our concerns and to bring them forward. I would caution the wording of any such letter because you can look at our local level to the national level and the divide that is there. I would not want to incite more division. That would be the one caution that I would have. But we do need, I agree, there has been a lot of censure that does not belong, and there's been a lot of overreach. And
Very good point, Kevin. And that was my point. We need to get a letter. We need to get the right thing presented to us so that we can consider it. Clint, what are your thoughts along that line?
The Board of County Commissioners has certain statutory authorities that it's obligated to fill. They can take a position on something through a resolution. It's a position statement. It could be done by a letter as well, but a resolution is a more formal way of approaching it. But as far as if you decide you want to consider a resolution, then probably having a committee to put together the thoughts and the wording and everything to submit it for possible tweaking by this board, or whether or not they want to do that. But it is just a resolution. It's a statement of how this board feels, and assuming that it's your constituents are basically all in support of this, which
We could have
I think that's the case.
which we would get input as we air this publicly. We could do a workshop on it. We could do in the meetings, those kinds of things.
Essentially, it's going to be disregarded by the elected people. I mean, Colorado's already sort of lost right now. It's gone so blue. But taking a stand is certainly a starting point.
Yeah, just because we're the voice that's not being heard doesn't mean we shouldn't stand up and defend it. There's no day that I will ever not defend the Constitution.
Right. And so
Not a day.
I would recommend, this is a thought, is you ought to put together several people that represent a bigger spectrum and get that discussion going for a resolution for us to consider. And we could even ourselves, if I had a name or two, I'd throw them at you, Kevin, Mike, and Tom as well. But I would put some meat behind it, a little effort. I like your thoughts. Your concept is good. It is frustrating to sit and listen to the news and then have to think, I have personal experience. My sister was in that rally out there and my brother was. And in fact, they didn't see anybody climbing walls. There wasn't any guns shot anywhere where they were in the whole mass. And it was millions of people. And they actually witnessed inciters that were not part of that were pretending to be part of that group, getting off a bus, putting on their political stuff, and then going and storming the Capitol. So it's and before she could get home that next day on an airplane, there was an email sent to her business in Alaska telling them that she was an inciter, an anarchist, and she should be fired. It was her business. But
This is what's happening.
I don't know. That's a scary thought. So you have to stand tall or you do get eroded away. So, but that's something for us to consider with others, and we could bring it up and we'll get some movement on a resolution. It's a good thing.
Just just sort of to be clear, I'm not really, I understand us taking a position locally in a resolution, but I'm asking for a call to action
Well,
for these other representatives to move forward with this.
So that would be part of the resolution process. So we could do that, and then your committee can lobby our representatives and our senators at a state level as well as at the national level to get behind a bigger push, or just endorse this with a bunch of counties. I mean, that's the way you get the counties involved, besides us actively getting a hold of each county. That's our representatives. That they have several counties that they can reach to and say, look here, let's see what happens. But if to hear that, I'm sure there are people that feel the same. And
Everybody I talk to.
Sure, in other counties.
Yeah, everybody I talk to.
So let's, and that's a good thing to get going. So if you want to grab the bull by the horn, we need somebody to do.
But also I'm still not hearing like the action from you folks.
Well, that is an action.
So, I mean, that's what we're trying to do here. I mean, in any committee, I would like opinions from you guys to help this thing move along, because that is for me.
But that's what you have to bring to us so we can take a real action. See, right now, all we can tell you is, sounds interesting, sounds good. We support it. I do.
Okay.
Personally, but we need whatever the formal language, we need the process. Here's what you're going to do. We're going to get this resolution, and then you're going to have people that are going to use that in letters to our representatives. Whatever the process is, come to us and let us talk about it. Gets a chance to air it publicly with the county. That way other people will be involved.
Sure.
As opposed to you personally doing that. It's a little more PR for you when we do it publicly.
Okay. I appreciate the time. This is not sitting well with most of America that I know, and anything that I could do to move this forward, I appreciate the
Well, you've
support.
taken a pretty big step for, I don't see any other citizens standing tall right this second. There are a lot of them out there. I'm not putting anybody down.
I understand it, and
Somebody has to get the motion.
Yeah, and so I appreciate the minutes, guys, and I apologize if I was a little flustered. This is a very personal thing to me, and it should be to every patriot. I have large issue with what the direction that this government is going right now. And the only way that I know to start it is with this local level.
Sure.
And push it forward, push it up.
We're glad you did, and we're proud to have you as a citizen in the county, and you did a good job of putting your thoughts down pretty concisely here.
And then I will move forward and see if I can gather a little bit more support, and I will look into more of the resolution. If you don't mind, sir, I might reach out to you and see what I can do to get this thing organized in a correct manner and resubmit to you.
Well, if you can put together the thoughts and the sentiments, basic language, I can rewrite it in terms of a resolution for them to consider. And the whole thing here is, if it's a resolution that's adopted here, this may already have been done in other counties, I don't want to reinvent the wheel on this, but the Second Amendment sanctuary county thing took off and got circulated around to other counties, and a lot of counties adopted that. We should have one resolution that we submit to other counties, other political entities that have this, share these sentiments, and have them all submit these to their respective legislators. And so I'm happy to work with you on it, but I think it should be more than just this county. It should be something that trying to get other counties to buy into as well, and they'll essentially pass the same kind of a resolution. And not just counties, but incorporated municipalities.
Sure. I talked to Ron Hanks. He's the representative for the group of counties in our district, and so does Cleve Simpson.
You ever show up? Ron Hanks, wasn't he?
Well, I
show for a
don't
minute?
know where that came from. I thought that, like he never came to I don't know.
Right, yes. But I will continue to push this.
That way and get some things for us to consider. If other counties have banded together, it'd be good to consolidate what their thoughts are on a resolution so they're consistent.
There's a lot of good language out there already if you just, find it. Hard to find it on Google now because they censor all.
They
of
censor it all.
They'll
And it's all
censor it.
softball language, I'll be honest. Everything that you see out there is handling everybody with kid gloves, so scared of everyone.
Well, but
And that is an issue.
there are places that aren't doing that, and there's some pretty stiff stuff out there.
Yeah, and that's
Not going through Google or some other
Of course.
media. The resolutions that are being considered today that are pretty stiff.
That's a good thing.
So,
Well, gentlemen, thank you for the few minutes. Thank you, sir.
yeah.
And I will be in touch because I can't let this sit myself. I can't sleep at night about it. I'll be honest with you.
You're looking like a little rugged there, honestly. I didn't think that photography job was that hard.
It's pretty tough.
Gotta get all the lines drawn.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks for coming in.
All right. We good? We don't need a break, do we? You good? Just being considerate. All right, next up on the agenda is considering opening the BOCC meetings to the public. We had done that at the Board of Health, and we recommended bringing it in here so we could act on it formally. It's the only reason it's here today, to consider that to be a public meeting, either at a place that's suitable. Could be Lang Hall, it could be Wetmore, it could be the Saddle Club, it could be something else that would work during the kinds of restrictions and constraints that we have to work in. So any discussion on that, or do you want to make a motion first?
I gotta find the right agenda. I thought I was on the right agenda, but apparently not.
Good.
We added that, and I think Kelly sent it out.
Yeah, it was sent a couple of days ago, I think.
It'll be on that last agenda I sent yesterday too.
Would be number 6 or number 7.
I love your patience.
I try not to overwhelm.
This
you.
is my final. No, this one's my final.
So just to start the discussion, I've had, as you know, and this is and we mentioned this in the Board of Health, but for those who were not there and then are listening now, it's a lot of people have been wanting more room in order to be able to be in attendance, to present their thoughts, as well as getting around the technical problems we've had in the past, where some people we can hear, but they can't hear us, and other technical items that go on. We still will broadcast and stream the meetings wherever we have them, so that people that want to not be present until they've been vaccinated or don't want to risk coming in with a mask or sitting 6 feet from everybody can still hear them and still participate in the meetings by the technology. So with that, any comments, Kevin?
No, on the 12th, we briefly touched on it, and I was to get Dr. Brown down to Wetmore to look, and I brought this up at the Board of Health, but now here again at the commissioners meeting. He did come to Wetmore and looked it over down there, and thought that we could do that safely down there in that building.
With how many people? Up to 50, I think, is what I heard. I don't know if that's.
No, there's not that many with your spacing. I think he said 26 here at the Board of Health is what he.
Okay, 26.
Yeah, that was the number I remember that he mentioned.
Okay. And I do know, as I mentioned before, I had him look at Lang Hall, and we can get quite a few more people in there. And it's very well ventilated. So that would be a consideration as well.
I believe that Vernon as well was going to check on the internet speeds down there as far as
that's right.
streaming the meeting from Wetmore. As well, I don't know what kind of progress he has made on that.
To get them, I guess, to connect CenturyLink's fiber to the Wetmore building is the issue, I guess.
Right now, I believe they're on DSL, which is what I am down there, so.
Well, we've never live streamed any meetings from down there anyway, so I don't know that it matters.
You're probably not. Zooming it would be the issue with the pipe size, I guess.
Well, if we're meeting down there, what would be the purpose to Zoom it?
Only because there's people that may not want, like I mentioned, may not want to come and would still like to hear it. That's all. And that wouldn't be critical, because in the past, we couldn't do it because of the technology, right? So that people accepted that and came if they really had an issue down to Wetmore. So you're right, probably.
Yeah, I think if we're gonna meet in Wetmore, we meet in Wetmore. If people wanna drive down there and go to the meeting, they can. If they don't need to. I just have not felt the need to live stream those meetings in Wetmore, and I guess I kind of feel the same way about Zooming those meetings.
Yeah, I do too. The only issue would be because of the pandemic, and there are people that will not come that might have come in the past. Is the only reason for even considering it. That doesn't mean that we, you can only jump through so many hoops.
Right, that's kind of where I'm
Yeah.
coming from. If we,
That's not, it wouldn't be a criteria, I guess, Tom, that restated that if we can't do that, then we wouldn't do it. That would be.
And I may have misspoken. I know he was going to check on the internet speeds and I was assuming it was for something like that, but I may have spoke out of turn on that.
well, if we make the decision to open the meetings to the public, then what's the point in Zooming them? That's why we Zoomed the meetings in the first place, because we wouldn't allow the public to come in here.
Right.
If we allowed the public to come in here, do we continue to Zoom those meetings?
And I would say
don't know why we
probably
would.
would, as long as there's enough room to get a representative amount of people that would normally come. And we've been seeing, what are we on Zoom? We've been seeing probably up to 20 to 30 people. And it sounds like we can accommodate most of that.
I'm assuming as a commission, we'll probably vote the same way we did about not requiring masks if we open it to the public. I guess we'll see, but so what would be the general plan? You want to have the next meeting somewhere else other than here if this?
Well,
passes?
it would depend if we vote to do this, it may be too soon to do the next meeting because the availability of a room and to get it published in time. We would have to have it decided upon by Saturday or Monday morning at 8 or something. We can look into that, but we would probably set it up for that first meeting here. If we can get it moved in time, then we could do that. So anyway, I would move that we do open the Board of Commissioners meetings up to the public and allow attendance and adhere to the recommendations of the Board of Health I want to say it broadly, to adhere to the recommendations. If you come with a temperature, we'll have a temperature sensor there to let people in, just like we do everywhere else voluntarily. And wear a mask if you're concerned, or don't come. And maintain social distancing while you're in the room, and that's sort of the broad motion that I have. If you want to second that, we can amend it appropriately.
I would second that motion.
Okay, been moved and seconded to open up the Board of Commissioners meetings to the public in places that would be appropriately could handle it with the current restrictions and recommendations. Board of Health. Any discussion?
I'm assuming that opening the BOCC meetings to the public in locations also includes right here, right?
Absolutely.
Because
Yeah.
we're going to find out we won't get 4 or 5 people after about the third meeting.
And if
So I want to make it understood that we can always come back here where we should be
That's a
having
very
our
good
BOCC
you
meetings.
bet.
Uh,
And actually, it has been working out pretty well so far. But there has been a pretty good clamor. And if the clamor is not what it is, then there's no reason for us to go out of the way to change it.
I kind of agree with your statement. I think as upon the first few meetings after we open, we'll have pretty good attendance. Then it will level back out.
And, depending on the agenda item, that's true.
True.
Yeah, I think, if we want to abuse the 20 or 30 people that don't like the situation where it is, I guess that's what we do. This is where we need to have our BOCC meetings, right here.
It's close.
But
Well, I know historically in the past, there's been meetings in Wetmore and in Santa Isabel as well, which includes the rest of the county. Not the bulk of them, but that's been something that has fell away. because of this situation we're in now with the virus. And I know I personally, and I've had a lot of people that have approached me, I guess some people that have approached me and would like to see them open back up and have us have meetings in those other locations as well. And I agree with that.
Good news is vaccines are going on and maybe a moot point, you might have 1 or 2 meetings and then all hands on deck.
And I think we could look at that, and then as soon as, we feel that we can come back in here, it may be very short term, and we can come back in here. But I would still like to see our meetings in Wetmore and in San Isabel, if at all possible.
And we can discuss, I think the San Isabel thing's been kind of separate because we did do that and then we didn't get, I think twice we got 1 or 2 different people and that was it.
I would say that probably
I think you're more
the bulk of your attendance in San Isabel was also Wetmore constituents. So that I would concur with that.
Yeah, the 3 years I served up there, there was nobody from the San Isabel area. And the only people that attended those meetings that I can clearly remember were newspaper people from this valley. I never saw anybody from Wetmore at those meetings.
Other than that's true, or San Isabel, the one we saw was the waitress.
We just never had anybody other than the 2 reporters.
Wetmore used to attend and then just dropped off after a while.
But I'm not discounting what you're saying, Kevin. I agree. I think there's a reason that we have those meetings there, and there's a reason we changed it from 3 San Isabel meetings to 1 because nobody came. And so everybody was driving up there to have lunch. Had to throw that out, Kelly.
That's the important part.
And I wasn't thrilled with the whole physical layout. I just wasn't conducive to conducting a
It
professional
really
board
wasn't
meeting.
sitting there and looking at each other's face.
Well, or not, because you might be
behind us.
3 people down and.
You can't, yeah.
So
It was an exercise in trying to appease the public. It wasn't about conducting business.
Right now, we haven't got any meetings scheduled in San Isabel. We've got some.
No, that's not correct.
Did we put one on there? I know we talked, I didn't see it.
No, I'm not opposed to doing that. Certainly, we do get people from Wetmore to come in, not a great number, but if you take out, that core 4 or 5, we'd have 1 or 2 people at those meetings, but still, I think we have had a better response from the Wetmore people than we have from San Isabel.
Okay.
I agree.
In the past too, and I don't know why that's dropped off, other than they used to, at San Isabel, they used to give, the Forest Service came in and gave an annual update on
Oh, yeah.
what they were doing when Paul Crespin was still in there. And since they have that new lady, they've not.
I haven't even
given
come to
a-
the meeting.
Yeah, they haven't.
She's come to one here.
In a while,
Yeah,
so.
once.
And you know who that lady is, right? Mike Halpin's daughter.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah.
She came here and gave us a kind of, well, it was not really an update. She come and introduced
And
herself.
introduced herself.
when
And
she
maybe
was
she
first
doesn't
hired.
realize that they used to come.
Yeah.
Well, and the
Yeah.
pandemic stopped a lot of stuff and people got into another routine. Well, I'm willing to open it and give it a shot and then we'll see what we're doing. All right, let's, did we pass or do we, yeah, we have a motion on it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to open up the meetings and I'm not gonna repeat it. Kelly, you got it written down. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Kevin,
Aye.
Candida, or, I mean, Tom. got it.
Aye.
What's going on? Candida, aye. Okay. This is great. It's a 10:45, just to let everybody know. The guys are moving on. Thank you. Ratifying a new library board members, and we don't have anybody to present that other than what we got. Is that right?
He said that he would call in if necessary, but you guys ratified it.
Last time.
Yeah, last time they didn't.
All right, let me read what he sent us, just so the record's straight and the public can hear it. So he's attached a list of current board members of West Custer County Library District. They are Renee Tobin and James Gearhart, resigned at the end of 2020. So he points out the trustees put a legal notice in the Tribune, spread the word, and received one application. The trustees have accepted with pleasure the application of 2 new trustees to replace Renee Tobin and James Gearhart. The new trustees are Allison Grabber and Robert Gardner. Their application materials are attached. Allison Grabber and Graber, I'm sorry, and Robert Gardner are active patrons and firm supporter of the library. We are lucky to have their dedication and strengths on the board. State law, Colorado Revised Statutes 24-90-108. And C says that the library district's trustee appointments shall be ratified by a 2/3 majority of the legislative body. We therefore ask the county commissioners ratify these 2 new trustees at this meeting. Please contact Sean Bahari as Bahari. Is that how you pronounce his name? Bahari. Or Chairman Terry Matthews if you have any questions. So I would move we ratify the appointment of the trustees as presented, both Allison Graber and Robert Gardner.
Second.
Moving seconded to accept and ratify the proposed trustees. All in favor? Tom?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
And aye. Okay. All right, any additional items that we need to talk about before we go into an executive session?
You want to do public comment?
Yeah, it was, if there's any other thing. Any public comments? Public. There's no clamor to be heard. Anybody lighten up?
Actually, yes.
Gotcha. Is this Elliot?
Yes, this is. Speaking as a citizen, I'm a little disturbed by some of the assertions that I heard Chris Bison bring up. And before you go ahead with any sort of resolution, I urge you to consider carefully whether any of these assertions are in fact true, and whether it is really your place to go ahead with any sort of language supporting what Mr. Bryson had to say. Are you aware of how many people in the county actually voted for Democratic candidates in the
You asking
last
all of us?
election? Yeah,
Yeah, I am.
okay. Fully a
I'm
third
just
of the
speaking for
county,
me.
correct?
Say again.
Fully a third of the county, it seemed to me, looking at the election results. And with regard to the election and President Trump's assertions about the election, are you aware of how many lawsuits he filed in various states around the union contesting the election results in those states? County attorney's probably aware of how many were filed, but are you aware?
I'm aware there were many. And that's fine. Go ahead, Elliot.
69 to be precise. And are you aware of how many he actually won? Of those lawsuits?
Yes.
1/2 of one. So it would appear that his assertions, at least in the views of the courts of this land, were baseless. And that therefore, the rally, the Save America March, and the attack on the Capitol were all basically groundless. Yes?
Oh, no,
Generally, public comment is just for
Yeah.
them to comment without engaging. in
right, yeah,
conversation.
we're,
Okay.
that's
All
right.
right. I'm
And-
just
and,
I'm just expressing my concern as a citizen. Before you go ahead with this, think carefully.
Okay, and if you were listening, Elliot, that's exactly what we said was the process. This is
Okay.
not, didn't agree to go sign anything. We said, put the data together, put the facts together, let us see where it goes. And we're certainly willing to listen, just like we would if you did the same thing and came to us with a different. kind.
Okay.
Okay, thank you for your
Thank you,
comment.
gentlemen.
Okay, I think that's, if there's not any other comments, is anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, I have a
Go ahead, Tom.
question. I would like to ask to have the opportunity while we are in executive session to seek some legal advice. I believe we're authorized to do more than one thing in executive session as long as we separate those out and deal with, I think it's listed as personnel issue.
It's a personnel issue now, and the legal advice would be for what?
Concluded, I would like to have legal advice after that.
And that can be done, just the personnel part of it would be recorded, the legal
Right.
advice would not.
So that would be my request.
There's no reason why that can't happen.
Okay, thank you.
Now,
And I would also request a short break before we move into executive
Okay.
session.
all right, let's take a break here. Let's come back and let's give us 5 minutes this time. Let's come back on the hour.
You're muted.
Okay, we're back in session after a quick recess. It's 4 minutes to, I guess it's 4 minutes according to our clock on the wall, to 11. We're back, and Tom, you had another point.
Yeah, before we move into executive session, I did want to bring something else up. I decided not to bring it up during the commissioner items because I know we're trying to get through that agenda. We are still under a vote taken by the BOCC of considering the use of masks in this county building. Obviously, we're not really following that, so if we're not going to follow it, then I think it needs to be addressed. There might be somebody that dislikes wearing a mask more than I do. I don't know. But if we're not going to wear it, then why say we're going to wear them in this county? Why say we're going to require people to wear a mask when they come into this building? I think we're just operating under a double standard. So I just wanted to bring that up. People get served in this county building with and without a mask. I think the intensity is probably waned some from the days that we voted that requirement to enter this building, you had to have a mask.
Yeah, maybe so. My point of view is that I think when you're in close proximity, you've got shields up on the clerk's office and those kinds of things. If you can't maintain the social distance, then you should wear a mask. I do in the grocery store. I do here when we get crowded. It's the right thing to do to protect the other person. So maybe we need to clarify that. Maybe it requires a look at how we state it. Because I believe in the CDC says 6 feet's good, and I'm good with that. If I don't want to, if I'm really worried, I won't wear a mask, or I will wear a mask. And if I worry too much, I'll stay home.
Yeah, I'd like to ask Kelly. I mean, she deals probably numbers wise more with the public than anybody.
Right, that's probably a good point.
So
I would say that 90 to 95% of people that come in my office wear a mask. The people, I know that you guys wanted us to refuse business to people that did not have a mask on.
Or wouldn't retain 6 feet. That was that was my view. And you can.
It was to refuse business if you didn't have a mask.
had to have a mask.
Okay.
In my office, I'm just speaking for me. I feel like I'm not going to refuse business to somebody that doesn't have a mask on, because I figure they're an adult, and I've not had a problem with somebody with a mask and without a mask, say, having any arguments or whatever. My staff wears their mask. When I help a customer at the counter, I wear my mask.
Yes.
I don't have my windows up anymore because most of the people wear masks. I feel like it's hard to hear people with a mask. And when I've got a crowd in my office, talking through the plexiglass, talking with masks, and 5 or 6 people talking at a time, we end up in a yelling match. And I've had people say that they hate those. They talk around them more than they talk. So if they're getting between them or coming around them to talk, I don't see the.
So maybe then maybe instead of saying to come in, it's recommended if you. How would we change what's written so that it doesn't come across inconsistent, like Tom pointed out?
Well,
because your employees are going to protect themselves. That's what the mask does. If the person is obviously sick, shouldn't be here anyway, and we have the right to tell them to turn around if they're really, and we have the temperature gauge thermometers in the hallway. How would we change the recommendation on the door?
Me personally, I think you just leave it the same and let people, you can change recommendations and put all the signs up that you want, but people are gonna,
Sure.
they're gonna do what they want to do. I guess, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I've been accosted twice in the hallway of this county building. Both times was at 4 o'clock and I was walking out of the building to go home. And non-county employees addressed me about the issue of me not having a mask on when the sign on the door said everybody coming in needs to wear a mask. I don't like it. I'm trying to do what we said we were going to do. Doesn't have to make a damn what I like or don't like. It's what we said we were going to do. And if we're not going to do that, then I think we do need to change it. But we're also going to take heat because every store or business in this county has a sign or is supposed to have a sign on their door that says by governor's order, you have to wear a mask to come in here and do business. So we're in that same BS thing of we all talk a big story, including the legislature, but nobody has the gall or the stomach to deal with it. It's frustrating for me. I don't like wearing a stupid mask, but that's what we said we were going to do.
Well, and I agree on that too, that we shouldn't say, you know, I'm sitting in here without a mask. I just went down the hall without one. I wasn't here when you passed that, and I'm sure I'm aware that it was passed. But I don't think that we should say everyone is required to do it if we're not going to do it as well. So
I agree.
I agree with that.
I tell you what, they probably ought to say masks are optional. You're an adult, wear it if you are worried, period. And I'm going to maintain and remind everybody to keep apart from each other if they can. If they can't, wear a mask. It's optional.
I've noticed on a few businesses I've been in that they put masks recommended.
Right. And
I
that's,
suppose you could change it from required to recommended.
If we're not going to wear a mask, then I agree 100%. Because we're living a double standard and it's not fair to us. It's not fair to the citizens that voted us into office. It's not fair to the people that come to the courthouse to do business. I think Vern is one of the most dedicated people in the building to wear a mask. I never see him without one unless we're outside talking. But I'm assuming it's either because we said that's what we're going to do, or you're doing it as a personal choice to protect your health and the health of others around you. So.
If I may, from a public health perspective, the mask does very little to protect me. Me wearing a mask does very little to protect me from any of you. The masks have always been to protect you from me. I go into high-risk environments all the time. And so I try to wear the mask as much as I can for that reason. Because I am exposed in a high-risk environment. So I'm trying to protect you from myself if I have COVID. So that's, from a public health perspective, that is the rationale behind the mask.
And really, that's never changed. We sat in a board meeting in February with our public health officials and had that very conversation, didn't we? What was the purpose of a mask? It's been all over the map since then, but that's really, we come back full circle to.
and the same is true. You should keep 6 feet away to keep me safe.
Yeah.
So that's the point. And we've already agreed as a county, we are not enforcing it. It's the recommendations. We're counting on the people that have the integrity and the ability to stay. They don't have to come into the courthouse or into the public abuse. And I will, if I'm worried about the people, and I will put on a mask in a public area that's got a lot of external traffic, period. It makes sense. in a meeting like this, sitting here, there's no traffic and we know we're keeping our distance and all that. There's no double standard here. I'm still practicing good practice of not being sneezing on anybody or catching a germ from you. So I don't know how to say it on a public board because people are doing it optionally as it is, like Kelly said already. It is the way they're treating it, and that's how we treat it from an enforcement point of view.
Well, I'm not arguing just for the sake of arguing. I'm arguing to make my point. It is a double standard. We said to come in this building, you must wear a mask. Well, look at us. So we are living a double standard. That's why I think it needs to be addressed.
Okay, then I would move that we change that and make it recommended instead of mandatory. Second, been moved and seconded, change that sign. All in favor, say aye. Kevin?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Kanda? Aye. Good point. Okay, we need
Can
to,
we ask Mr. Byrne or Tina, one of the two, to,
yeah, we need to change the door
I don't know
sign.
who did them the last time, so.
And that's what the order says in the first place on the mask from the governor. It says recommended. Mandatory order says it's recommended too. Kind of crazy. All right, let's move on then. So we will begin our executive session. So for two reasons, we will enter executive session for the conference with the county attorney for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under Colorado Revised Statute Section 24-6-402, Paren 4, Paren B, and also for the purpose for discussion of a personnel matter under county Revised Statute Section 24-6-402, Paren 4, Paren F, Paren I, and double I, it's Roman numeral 1 and Roman numeral 2. And not involving any specific employees who have requested discussion of the matter in open session, any member of this body or any elected official, the appointment of any person to fill an office of this body or an elected official, or personnel policies that do not require the discussion of matters personal to particular employees.
I move we go into executive session at 11:07.
11:07 has been moved. And
I would second.
Seconded to go into executive session.
I don't know if that's an actual debatable motion or not, but we probably should identify who is going to be allowed in executive.
That's a good point. Let's discuss that. Mention that in that executive session, we will have Tom Flower, Commissioner Kevin Day, Commissioner Bill Kanda, Commissioner Attorney Clint Smith.
Do not mention the name of the.
Right.
An employee,
Kelly would be also part of that.
Yeah, she has to record it.
Right. So our clerk will be there as well. Tina and you're going to go. So
Yes,
Tina will be here to help go with the recording where appropriate. And an employee that will be here for the discussion on the personnel matter will be included as well. All in favor, say aye. Tom.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Kanda, aye. So let's close down and
Ready.
Okay, it's now 12:04 on January the 29th, 2021. And for the record, I am the chairman as required by the open laws meeting. This executive session was conducted. There we go. And for the record, that the people that participate in the executive session, that if anybody believes any substantial discussion for any matters not included in the motion to go into the executive session occurred during the executive session, or that any improper action occurred during the executive session in violation of the open law meeting law, I would ask that you state your concerns for the record now. Okay, hearing none. We're back in session, and I would like the attorney to confirm what we just did.
In my capacity as the county attorney, it's my legal opinion that the executive session stayed on topic. We discussed a personnel issue, which was recorded as required by statute. Then there was a request for legal advice, which was discussed briefly, and that was not recorded. But at all times, we complied with the executive session, the open record laws.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're back in session. And as stated, we did discuss a personnel issue, and I would like to, at this time, consider an action that we probably need to do as a result. And that is to accept the resignation of our VSO officer as presented to us. He had stated that it is with regret that he tender his resignation from the position of Veteran Service Officer for Custer County effective 5 April due to health issues. It's been my honor. 5 February.
February the 5th, correct?
Yeah, February, what did I say? 5 February 2021. Sorry. It's been his honor, he states, to serve the veterans and families of this community for the last 22 months. I am grateful for the opportunity that has been given to assist this community, and I am thankful for the support that I have received while serving as the VSO. I wish the best for this office and the veterans that I served and this community. Sincerely, John Carroll, Custer County Veterans Service Officer. So I would entertain a motion to accept his resignation.
I would so move.
Second.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded to accept Custer County's Veteran Service Officer John Carroll's resignation. It's with regret that
Effective February the 5th.
February the 5th, 2021. With regret, we accept this. And brings up a good point that we need to fill this position as soon as possible.
We need to vote on the motion.
And that would be the next thing we would do. That's correct. So with that stated, any discussion? Ready?
No, I mean, I guess I can't say no and then say something.
Don't say it and let the public say it if they got it.
Obviously, I think the commissioners extended our heartfelt thanks to John when he presented that letter to us. So I hate to see him go, but I respect his decision.
Yeah, as do I. And is there any comment publicly before we vote? Let's see, there's 8 on. All right, hearing none, then I call for the vote. Tom?
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Kanda, aye. All right. So I guess, do we want to put the announcement out as soon as possible for that position?
Yeah, I
think we need to get it advertised. And the sooner the better. So we've got the job description. I'll talk to Donna
I'm
about it.
gonna say as chair, are you willing to have a conversation with Donna
Yeah, I
and
was
get
just gonna
that
say I will
conversation
call
going?
her or I'll work with her and do it, as well as on the internet and on our websites, as well as the media. Says we're gonna need an overlap, by the way, just for public consumption. John has volunteered to train the new person that we hire. And we'll see if we can do that in a timely fashion, or maybe a separate contract with him consulting to make that happen if it drags on the selection process. Then. Okay, anything else?
I do.
Go ahead, Tom.
I would move that we invite Vernon Roth, Donna Hobby, and Shannon Byerly to set in on the interviews for the PIO position.
I agree. I second that. Any discussion before we?
Vernon, Shannon, and Donna.
Donna.
I think that would be a good idea.
Ain't gonna hurt. And by the way, the voting members are the three of us. They're here. I want to make that clear to everybody. They don't vote.
Advisory.
They can give us advice to consider, but we are hiring them as a board.
They're directly related to whoever we hire though.
Yes,
They'll
and
be
that's,
working
it's
with
nice
us.
to get advice to hear what their concerns are for a PIO.
Yeah, I think that's another conversation that happens at a later time. I certainly have questions about who the PIO should answer to on a daily basis. And I've got my opinion about that. I'll share them when it's appropriate.
I thought we did, and I thought that was a county position, right?
It is a county position, no question about that.
Okay.
That's why we're doing the hiring.
Right. Okay, any other discussion? Public? Okay, given that, I'll call for the vote. Tom?
Yeah, there's.
Aye.
Kevin?
Aye.
Kanda, aye.
Yeah, we've got 3 people on that we wouldn't expect other than county.
All right, is there anything else that we needed to cover before we adjourn this meeting and start our workshop for the personnel? Close
I have
workshop.
nothing.
You think, okay, this time I'll declare the meeting adjourned without asking for a vote. Thank you, guys.